Hello students, this is Purvi here. Today we are going to discuss the fourth chapter from Business Studies Part 1, that is planning. The concept of planning. Planning is deciding in advance the objectives to be achieved during a given period, formulating alternative courses of action to achieve them, and selecting the best course of action. Planning bridges the gap between where we are and where we want to go. It is a mental exercise that requires imagination, foresight, sound judgment, creativity, and innovation. It requires taking decision since it involves making choice from various alternative courses of action. It is considered with both ends and means, that is, what is to be done and how is to be done. Now, Hurley has to say that planning is deciding in advance what is to be done. It involves the selection of objectives, policies, procedures, and programs among alternatives. While Alfred and Beatty has to say that planning is the thinking process, the organized foresight, the vision based on facts and experience that is required for intelligent action. Now let us talk about the various importance of planning. Planning provides direction. It means that by stating in advance how work is to be done in future, planning provides direction for action. It clearly defines what the employees have to do, when to do, how to do, and for whom to do. When employees are aware of what they have to do, departments and individuals are able to work in coordination. Also, planning reduces the risk of uncertainties. It means that it is an activity which enables a manager to look ahead and anticipate changes. By deciding in advance, planning shows the way to deal with changes and uncertain events. Such changes can only be anticipated but not eliminated altogether. Planning reduces overlapping and wasteful activities as well. With planning, various activities of different departments and divisions are carried on in an effective manner, which reduces the overlapping and wasteful activities. It ensures clarity in thought and action, and work is carried on smoothly by reducing useless and redundant activities. Planning promotes innovative ideas. It is an intellectual process which involves finding better ideas and methods to perform a particular job. In planning, new ideas can take the shape of concrete plans. Planning facilitates decision making. It helps the manager to look into the future and choose amongst the various alternative courses of action in order to find out the most viable, economical, and suitable plan. Planning establishes standards for controlling. Now it provides the standards against which actual performance is measured. It helps in finding deviations between desired and actual results and take corrective action depending upon the level and type of deviations. Thus, we can say that planning facilitates controlling. Let us discuss about various features of planning. Now, the first feature is that planning focuses on achieving objectives. We know that every organization has a set of goals to be achieved. Planning involves setting goals and determining the most economical and viable course of action to achieve the predetermined goals. Thus, planning is purposeful. Planning is a primary function of management. It lays down the base for all other functions of management. All other managerial functions are performed within the framework of the plans drawn. Thus, it can be said that the planning precedes other functions. Sometimes it is also called the primacy of planning. The third feature is planning is pervasive. Now it is required at all levels of management as well as in all the departments of the organization. It is not a function restricted to top level, but it is performed by the managers at every level. While the top management forms organizational plans, middle level does departmental planning and lower level makes plans for the day-to-day working of the organization. Planning is continuous. Plans are made for a specific time period. At the end of such time period, new plans have to be drawn. When plans are objective based and goals are achieved, new plans are drawn with new objectives. On the other hand, if goals are not achieved, plans are revised to achieve success in future. Planning is futuristic. It is essentially looking ahead as it is based on forecasting and is prepared for the future. It implies peeping into the future, analyzing it and predicting it to meet future events effectively. Thus, it is a futuristic process. Planning involves decision making. Planning is essentially the process of choosing among various alternatives. So, in order to make an effective choice, examination and evaluation of each alternative is necessary. Thus, it is concerned with decision making. Planning is a mental exercise. It is mental exercise as it requires creativity, imagination and higher thinking skills with sound judgment. It is an intellectual activity rather than doing. It requires logical and systematic thinking rather than guesswork or wishful thinking. Now let us talk about the various internal limitations of planning. The first limitation is planning leads to rigidity. A specific plan made in an organization clearly indicates the objective to be achieved and the ways of doing work. Since a manager may not be able to change these plans, it leads to rigidity. Planning may not work in a dynamic environment. Now, a business environment consists of social, economic, legal, and other factors that keep on changing. The organization has to adapt itself to such changes. But sometimes planning cannot assess future trends exactly and thus fails in a dynamic environment. Planning reduces creativity. It is an activity which is done by the top management and the rest of the members just implement these plans. They are neither allowed to deviate from plans nor are permitted to act on their own. Due to this, much of the initiative or creativity inherent in managers or other members gets lost or reduced, and there is nothing new or innovative in the organization. Planning involves huge cost. It usually involves a lot of time, effort and cost of managers. Collection of data, boardroom meetings, investigations and discussions with experts involve a lot of expenditure of the organization. Sometimes the cost incurred may not justify the benefit derived from the plans. Planning is a time-consuming process. Sometimes plans to be drawn up take so much of time that there is not much time left for their implementation. This leads to failure of planning. Planning does not guarantee success. Success of planning rests on its implementation. Lack of proper implementation may lead to failure of planning. Even if a plan has worked earlier, it may not work again due to changes in the external environment. Now, external limitations of planning. Unforeseen events. Natural calamities like floods and earthquakes, etc., are beyond the control of managers that cause failure of plans. Political outlook. Under political outlook towards industries and their intervention also affects the company's plans. Environmental changes. Now, changes in social, economic, legal, and technological environment may affect forecasting and planning. Competitors' strategy. Sometimes, a change in the strategy of competitor may lead to failure of planning. Now, let us discuss about the process of planning. The first step in the process of planning is setting objectives. Every organization operates to achieve certain objectives. Objectives specify what the organization wants to achieve. Therefore, the first step in planning is to define and describe clearly the objectives of organization and each department or unit within the organization. Once decided, these objectives should be communicated to all the units and employees. The second step is developing premises. Planning is concerned with future which is uncertain, and every planner is using conjecture about what might happen in future. Therefore, the manager is required to make certain assumptions about future. These assumptions are known as premises. Premises are the base upon which plans are drawn. They may be forecasts, existing plans, or past information. The third step is identifying alternative courses of action. Once the objectives and planning premises are established, it becomes necessary to discover the various courses of action which may be used to achieve the established objectives. These alternatives may be routine or innovative. The fourth step is evaluating alternative courses. The next step is to weigh the pros and cons of each alternative. It is necessary to evaluate the positive and negative aspect of each alternative in the light of the objectives to be achieved. This might involve a number of calculations to measure the cost and benefits related to an alternative. The fifth step is selecting an alternative. Now, this is the real point of decision making. The plan has to be adopted and implemented. An ideal plan would be the one which is most profitable, most feasible, and has the least negative consequences. The sixth step is implementing the plan. This step is concerned with putting the plan into action and doing what is required. The managers start communicating the plans to employees and initiate them to carry out the activities according to the specification of plans. The last step in the process of planning is follow-up action. We know that planning is a continuous process, and so the managers keep on following up the plans to see that activities are performed as per the schedule or not. Monitoring the plans is important to ensure achievement of objectives. Now, what is a plan? A plan is a specific action proposed to help the organization in achieving its objective. In other words, we can say that it is a document that outlines how goals are going to be achieved. Types of plan. Now, basically there are two types of plan, that is single-use plan and standing plan. Now, single-use plans are formulated to achieve a specific target or for a one-time event. After reaching that target, the plans become useless. Single-use plan is one-time plans specifically designed to achieve a particular goal. They are not applicable to recurring situations. They may be in the form of budgets, programs, and projects. They contain detailed analysis of work to be done, name of employees involved, and time limits of completion of work. While standing plans are formulated by companies to deal with situations that can occur again and again. They are usually made once but are modified from time to time as per the needs of the business. It includes policies, procedures, methods, and rules. These plans are applied to recurring situations for enhancing efficiency and effective decision making. Let us discuss about the steps for making a plan. Now, the first step involved for making a plan is objectives. Objectives refers to the desired future positions that an organization seeks to reach. They are the ends of managerial activity and the base for controlling. They are framed by the top management and accordingly, objectives are set for different departments and units. Objectives should be set in specific quantitative terms in the form of a written statement of desired results to be achieved within a given time period. Example, increase in sales by 10%, increase in profits by 15%, etc. The second step is strategy. It is a comprehensive plan which includes 3 dimensions for achieving organizational goals. Those are determining long-term objectives, adopting a particular course of action, and allocating resources necessary to achieve objectives. It helps to define the organization's scope and direction in the long run. Therefore, it is formed on the basis of changes occurring in the business environment. The third step is policy. It is a general statement that defines the boundaries within which decisions are made and the direct decisions towards the accomplishment of objectives. It comes under the standing plan as they guide managerial decision making and action on a regular basis. Policy are of 2 kinds. Major policies, which are for all to know, such as customers, clients, etc., and minor policies, which are for insiders and provide vital information to the employees. The fourth step is procedure. It describes the exact manner in which a certain activity is to be performed. It is a chronological sequence of steps to be taken. This also comes under the standing plan as it prescribes ways to handle routine problems and execute policies. They are usually meant for insiders to follow. Example, procedure of selection of employees, procedure of issuing materials from stores, etc. Method. It provides the prescribed ways or manner in which a task has to be performed considering the objectives. They are formalized and standardized ways of accomplishing repetitive and routine jobs, thus are considered as under the standing plan. It deals with a task which may be a step of a procedure and specifies how a step is to be performed. Example, methods of training, methods of recruitment, etc. Rules. They are specified statements that informs what is to be done. There is no discretion allowed in rules. They must be followed strictly and one cannot make any changes in them. Rules are the simplest type of plans because there is no change or compromise in following them. The 7th step is program. Now, they are the detailed statements about a project which outline the objectives, policies, procedures, and budgets which are to be implemented in the project. These are concrete action plans indicating how, when, and by whom work is to be done. And the last step in making a plan is budget. It is a statement of expected results expressed in numerical terms. It is a projection designed to define the anticipated costs and results in numerical terms of a single project. Thus, it is under the single-use plan. Since budgets are prepared in numerical terms, it becomes easier to compare them with the actual performance. Thus, it is considered as a control device prepared during the planning process. So students, this was the fourth chapter from business studies, that was planning. Thank you.